All right, welcome back to Prepping with Sarge. Welcome back to the Friday Night Prepper pre-party show. Why are we the pre-prepper pre-party show? Because we are the first show that you get on Friday night when the party starts. We're not going to be the last show you get tonight. In fact, after my stream is over, I want you all, if you're willing to do it, I want you all to go over to Prepping by Faith. She's got a live stream going on very, very soon. So I'm going to try to go fast with this one. I usually do about 45 minutes, but I tried not to roll into friends' streams. And Prepping by Faith is somebody who I subscribe to and I am friends with. So let's just get going. Usually I do a little intro here, but the heck with it. What are we talking about today? So we're going to talk about weather control. And I got a little poll going on. For me, it's up there. So go ahead and vote on that if you think that the U.S. government can or cannot control the weather. That's kind of what I'm going to talk about right now, all right? Hello to Dragon Slayer. Hello to Acer. Hello. I know Lee popped in from Cold War Prepper, but he had to go. I saw Japheth. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you. And I'm just going to keep going, get right into it. If there's any audio issues, if you get an echo or you can't hear me, just shout it out in caps in the chat so that I know that I can figure out what's going on my end. I also need to let you know we have a pretty severe lightning storm going on right now, so you may hear that in the background. If the feed cuts, I apologize. I'm not going to try to relaunch. We'll do it another day if the feed cuts. So let's get right into it while the getting's good. All right. So what am I talking about today? So specifically, there was a story on CNN this week about cloud seeding, right? So it just kind of caught my attention. I was getting up. I was getting my coffee. I get up pretty early in the morning, like 5:20, somewhere usually around there. And so maybe I hit the snooze, but usually pretty early. And cohort, good to see you. Appreciate you popping in. So it caught my attention, and it said that China was using cloud seeding to try to combat drought. And it really kind of caught me by surprise because whenever I've seen people try to bring up the concept of weather control and can they actually manipulate the weather, it's usually shot down as tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. So it's come up a few different times. I know I've heard of it years ago. I know that it's actually been in existence for a while. Let's do the deep dive right now. Let's see how real this thing is, how realistic it is. Okay, so cloud seeding. Let's talk about that first. Burpee Yoga Uncle, it's good to see you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Cloud seeding is a way to manipulate the weather by putting chemicals into the air to cause cloud condensation to form ice nuclei. This can cause the microphysical process within the cloud to change. So quite literally, the concept is that they insert chemicals into the clouds, and I'll talk about which chemicals they're using here in just a minute, into the clouds to cause ice condensation, ice nuclei to form, which causes a physical change within the clouds to induce precipitation. So short answer to this question is yes, they can control the weather. Sort of. Stay with me. All right. So the effectiveness and how much they can control the weather is highly debated. I did a deep dive into this week, looked at multiple sources. Looks like, from what I can see, that China is really the leader in terms of this technology, but it certainly has been deployed in the United States, at least on some testing levels. It can be used to increase precipitation or in some cases prevent it. So one example that I found of how it was being used to prevent it was in 2018 in Beijing. It was used to try to get the clouds to drop rain before they got to the opening and closing ceremonies reaching Olympic City. Okay, so basically force it to rain before it got to its location. Preventative is kind of a stretch of the word there. Controlling where it happens is probably a more accurate way of saying that. Food forest permaculture, thank you for popping in. I see silver lining. Bacon, always good to see you. Cohort, yep. Let's see. Got a couple questions here. Can we control it to produce more meat and booze? Well, maybe if we can increase precipitation onto crops and into fresh water. Yeah, maybe. I mean, obviously booze is made from fruit, right? Like usually it's fermented fruits or potatoes and things like that. To what extent and precision is the question exactly. Tinfoil hat is only about 6 weeks from real news. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's true. See, that's the thing, is they label a lot of stuff conspiracy theory, right? And I got to be careful here because YouTube gets really weird about this stuff, and they'll slap you around if you say something that is considered to be conspiracy theory and not verifiable with fact. Everything I'm going to talk about today is verifiable with fact. Okay, so I'm going to stick to the facts. You all are always, of course, I welcome everybody to disagree with me in the comments and also to do your own due diligence research. But one example that also came to mind as I was digging into this week is the whole concept of nobody is listening to your phone calls, which a certain president said. And then it turned out that was an outright lie. People were listening to your phone calls. It was collecting metadata for the security of the United States. So when you label stuff as like conspiracy theory instead of just telling the honest truth about what's going on and why it's happening, of course, it's going to cause some suspicion of the government motives, whatever, the media, all of the above. Aluminum, yeah. Everything, okay. All right, so let me keep going. I got your comments there. So what chemicals are used in this? So this is where it gets a little interesting. Silver iodide is the most common, and potassium iodide has been used, and also dry ice, solid carbon dioxide has been used. So what happens is usually it's an aircraft is flown up into like the tail of the cloud and disperses this chemical. It can also be done from the ground, though. There's a couple different types of doing this. Static seeding is when they use chemicals to form, ice particles in supercooled clouds. These particles will grow at the expense of water droplets. The particles grow and get heavy enough that they can fall out of the clouds to the ground as precipitation. Dynamic seeding is a little bit different. That's done with warm season clouds and uses the latent heat released by freezing, strengthening updrafts, increasing the low-level convergence and causing rapid growth of clouds. So actually building a bigger, more dense cloud. Third method was developed by the United Arab Emirates using electrical charge to charge air molecules. I had a very difficult time finding information about that. So with as far as I got with it, I wasn't able to pull in too much of the science on how that works. There was a fourth method used by the University of Geneva, experimenting with infrared laser pulses that encourage sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide to form particles to seed the cloud. Okay. Now, health concerns. This is where, so when I posted this stuff up this week in various social media, I had a couple people jump right on it and say, no, you're thinking about chemtrails, you're thinking about contrails. No, that's not what I was talking about. I was specifically talking about when people have said they can control the weather. All right. Now, do they sometimes get mixed up? Yes. And this is why. Silver iodide is a chemical that is dispersed by airplanes into the cloud. So you can understand why sometimes people think of them in the same light. Silver iodide can cause temporary incapacitation, possible residual injury to humans and mammals with chronic exposure. However, before you shut me down here, details show negligible impacts on health and environment in the tests that have been done so far. The amount is considered negligible and considered well within the industry standards. I'm just reporting what I found, folks. 1995 Environmental Assessment Sierra Nevada is my source. You can check that out in the 2004 Independent Australian study. You can look those both up yourself. If you want to fact check me, go for it. So what does all this mean and why does it relate to prepping? Well, we got a couple things going on in our country, but in other parts of the world too, specifically with drought, like really severe drought. I have friends and family who live in Arizona and California. And you all know what's going on over there with the Colorado River, Lake Mead drying up, and that's looking like it's going to happen very, very soon, like probably less than 2 years. I saw some sources saying they think within a year. This is going to be an environmental catastrophe of epic proportions, right? And it is very, very concerning. And I'm not trying to pick on California or Arizona. Like I said, I have family there. I am very, very concerned about this. I love, especially Arizona. I really love Arizona. In fact, I'm going out to visit it later on this fall. So could this be safely deployed? That's the question, right? So China is trying this in their drought areas, which I believe the Yangtze River. Correct me in chat if I got that wrong, or if I pronounced it wrong, I apologize. And they appear to be the country that's like leading on this. So we've got a big problem here with drought. Could it be deployed? Could it be used to solve some of our drought conditions? Right now, from what I can tell from the research I looked at, it looks like its effectiveness is limited. Seems to be, from what I concluded, yeah, it does work, but not like you're not getting, for the amount of money that's being spent, you're not getting a ton of rain. So does it really solve the problem, especially if the conditions are so dry as they can be in Southern California and Arizona, that things evaporate really, really fast? Like, I've been in Arizona when there's a rainstorm comes in hard, but it also evaporates and basically leaves really, really fast. So it's questionable, would this even solve the problem? Let me check your chat here, because I have a couple more points I want to make, but I want to see if you all have any questions here. How's everybody doing out there, by the way? I hope you all are having a good Friday. I hope you all have good plans for the weekend. Van City, good to see you, my friend. Van, we're going to try to end this one a little bit early, because I want to see, I know Prepping by Faith is going to be starting here in a couple minutes. I want to try to see anybody that wants to get over there. I'm going to give them a chance to get over there. Yeah, of course, you always want to view intel coming out of other countries with a bit of skepticism. I agree with that, Burpee. 75 years. So the numbers that I saw, that kind of adds up with what I read. 1950s is when this might have been started. Miss Southern Belle, good to see you. Bacon. His comment about the plot to make the galaxy, the world more habitable for the Irish. I love that. And I'm part Irish, by the way. Let's see. Rita, good to see you. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with all the chat. Desalination works too, just expensive. Okay, I didn't research that. I can't comment on it. Only built one. Yeah, so so the little bit that I know, by the way, if you're enjoying this, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. That's all I'm going to do for my intro right now. The little bit I know about desalination is it's very, very energy intensive. That's part of the problem with it. Now, I agree. I think that technology needs to be developed further. I'm curious, after doing my deep dive into this cloud seeding technology this week, sometimes when we develop a technology, it's not really effective at first, but maybe after, if more money is put into it, it can be. Now, the other side of this, the concern, of course, is whenever we tinker with nature, there's a potential bad consequence to this, right? So the Earth is a closed loop system. It's the largest closed loop system. Well, the solar system is a closed loop system too. The Earth is a closed loop system. What that means, if you're not familiar with systems theory, is that basically it's a self-sustaining system, right? So butterfly effect kind of thing. Everything we do affects the system. Sometimes very small amounts, but sometimes very big amounts. Sometimes things that seem like they're going to be a small impact can have a very big impact, right? So my personal feeling is, yeah, I think we should probably explore this a little bit more and see if there's safe ways to do this, and can it potentially be done on a scale that could help places with drought and soften the impact of places that are dealing with flooding and hurricanes and things like that. So maybe it can be done on a bigger scale. But we have to be very, very careful with all technology that interferes with the natural system, right? And this is why I have strong feelings about things like genetically modified seeds and stuff like that. Now, that's a whole nother topic we could get into another day. But whenever we tinker around, and I think we talked about cloning at one point on this channel. We've talked about AI, which is not really natural, but we're tinkering around and kind of playing God, so to speak. There's consequences to all those things, and most of the time we don't know the full consequences until we've stepped into that mud, right? So it's just something to think about. The short answer to this question is yes, the U.S. can control the weather to some small extent, right? They can form a cloud. They can get that cloud to drop rain. Can they do it at a significant level? That's highly questionable at this point. But I think all eyes are on China with their attempts to combat their drought and see how it works for them. Okay. That's all I got for this one. Let me go back to comments one more time, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because I know Prepping by Faith is getting started right now. And I want to drop a couple links here for you real quick. Stay with me just a minute now. Of course, I want to drop a link from my friend Bacon here, who's always been a big supporter to my channel, helping me with modding. So this is Bacon's channel. When you get a chance, please check him out. And then this is... All right, and I'm going to drop a link to Prepping by Faith, but stay with me here just a minute longer if you could. If you're willing to do it with me, I was going to suggest that I always see a delay in your stream, which means they're watching you. Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. Okay. All right, I'm getting ready to head over there, and you can join me if you want. What I was going to recommend, those of you who are still here with me in chat, if you're willing to do so, why don't we all head over? Dove Season, good to see you. Why don't we all head over to Prepping by Faith's stream? We'll do a little raid, right? Just pop in and say prepping with Sarge live stream raid, and you can stay if you want. Check out her channel. I'm going to hang out there for a little bit. But I'm going to hit link down there is hers. I appreciate everybody joining me for the beginning of your weekend. I hope you all have a great weekend. Keep planting your seeds. Keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.